great to have you on our program.
Well, great to be back on, and thank you for covering this important issue that is affecting so many people in the Southwest.
And it is so important in the hearing today, and you tried to get some answers from Attorney General Eric Holder, but he couldn't, and he didn't answer any of your questions.
Well, the only answer that the Attorney General seems to have is that they're investigating what is effectively, in plain sight, wrongdoing by the Justice Department at the highest levels. We've already gone past the ATF portion. It's very clear that the funding, the task force, and the authority came from justice, at least at the deputy level. And as you saw today in the hearing, reciting a March 9th prohibition on exactly what Fast and Furious was all about, he of course said, well, we don't do that. Well, you clearly did it before March 9th, and nobody seems to be paying a price for these dead Border Patrol agents, for 2,000 AK-47s, lawful for some people, clearly illegally sold for the wrong people with justice knowledge, and even they're physically watching it on live feeds of hidden cameras.
I mean, and you watch this hearing again today, and it makes clear why, when at the annual meeting for the NRA this past weekend, NRA's Wayne LaPierre said, hey, you know what? He can't answer. He doesn't know. He has to go. He called for the Attorney General to resign. Your reaction to that?
Wayne was right. If he didn't know, why didn't he know? If he didn't know until 2 weeks ago, why is it CBS made it pretty darn public well before that? You know, not wanting to know is the wrong answer if you're the Attorney General. The Attorney General should have known. Clearly, people directly around him, Lanny Brewer and other people who are very close confidants, knew and helped authorize this program. The funding was enormous. The people flying to Washington to get approvals at Justice are documented. All the time, they have not delivered one document to us that wasn't already in the public domain. That's one of the problems, is this stonewalling is making a bad situation worse.
It really is. So where do you think we're headed? I mean, are you ever going to get to the bottom of this, do you think?
Well, as you know, that the Iran-Contra hearings went on for a very long time, and they went on after we kind of knew what happened, but then we wanted to know, why is it there was so much of a cover-up? Who knew in real time, and who knew later? Well, this is very much that way. We already know there are 2,000 AK-47s out there in the wrong people's hands. We already know that Border Patrol agents have paid with their lives when they shouldn't have, if not for these weapons. Now the question is, why are they still stonewalling? Mm-hmm. Is it ultimately that they're protecting either the Attorney General or a few close people around them? We have a right to know. We continue to have our subpoenas unanswered. But meantime, and this is something your listeners need to know, whistleblowers, law enforcement officers, both in Justice and ATF, are coming forward voluntarily. They're providing us with needed information at the risk of their jobs because, in fact, they oppose these programs. They knew they were wrong, and they can help document that it was done over their head and over their objections.
I mean, he couldn't answer anything. He didn't answer your questions. He didn't answer Congressman Chaffetz when he asked about, do you know whether there were other offices other than Phoenix that knew about this? He couldn't talk to that point. He couldn't even remember for sure whether he knew about this before the president was interviewed by Univision on March 24th.
It's very clear that he has selective memory.
Yeah.
What we do know, though, is that he should have known, and if he didn't know, it's because he went out of his way not to know. And we're not taking no for an answer. As you know, this started with Senator Chuck Grassley, and he did a great job of asking questions even before we began an intensive investigation. They shut him down because he wasn't the chairman. When I picked this up, they just simply ignored the legitimate request of Congress. They've even ignored a subpoena in complete process. But at the end of the day, it's the men and women who knew this was wrong in law enforcement that are coming forward that are making it impossible for them to keep this secret. Because, in fact, what was approved at high level was disapproved at low level and medium level. So many people in ATF and Justice knew this program was wrong. You never let guns walk into the wrong hands. They did it, and we're ultimately going to get to not just the bottom of it, but the top of where it was approved at.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, too, because I know you talked about the members of law enforcement coming forward. But, I also interviewed Attorney Dick DeGuerin, who represents Carter's country. And he told me, these dealers, they feel like they were lied to. They feel like they were used. And Carter's country actually took notes on these receipts where they had questions about the sales that were going through. And when ATF trying to turn the table on, the prosecutor said, wait a second, and they dropped the case. I mean, they're so knee deep in this, but I know you're committed to getting to the bottom of it. But and you've got another hearing coming up, do you not?
We do, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I think you make a very valid point, which is here you have law-abiding gun shops who go out of their way to report potential straw purchases, get told, no, go ahead and sell them. We're tracking them. We're going to take care of it. Then they find out that they were not tracked, that in fact weapons that they sold led to the death of people on both sides of the border. Can you imagine what it feels like to be so careful to make sure that you do make sure that people's right to the Second Amendment is also balanced against people who shouldn't have weapons, felons, and those who were straw purchasers. And these people are going to have to live the rest of their lives knowing they were tricked by law enforcement and human beings died because of it.
Absolutely. And they'll tell you, they did everything ATF told them to do. They did the stall and call. They went out to the parking lots and got the license plate numbers. And, I know that there were some congressional investigators who went down to Arizona trying to track down information about this Operation Fast and Furious. Have you heard anything about what they've been able to come back with?
Well, my investigators were there. We got on the record, transcribed interviews. Senator Grassley sent staff to sit in with it at our request. And we were able to finally get the minority, the Democrats here in the House, to also attend. As these people began telling this story, we saw a change in the behavior of the Democrats on the committee from sort of blocking the whole thing to realizing this is a really serious thing in which the wrong things were done. And that change in the investigators from the minority gives us hope that eventually we can get to the bottom of this on a bipartisan basis. This is too important an issue to have partisan politics get in the middle of it. It's not about the president, but it is about wrongdoing on his watch and his attorney general's watch.
Alrighty, well, keep us posted because I know you expect to bring Holder back before your committee, right?
We absolutely do, and today he finally made a commitment to cooperate with our investigation. We're going to hold him to that in the days and weeks to come. We expect to have him back after we've reviewed the documents he now says he will make available to us.
I sure hope you get better answers next time around.
Well, better questions make for tougher answers, and I would say today we made the answers pretty tough. We didn't get very many other than what happened shouldn't have happened. We wouldn't, he said he wouldn't approve it, but it did happen, and it happened on his watch. So those tough questions will be followed up with the specifics of who knew, when did they know it, who authorized, because more and more we're seeing people very close to him that we believe were key in the authorization and oversight of this failed program.
Do you have any doubt when all is said and done that heads are going to roll on this one?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt that you just cannot assume that people who approved such a felony, stupid type of investigation can keep their jobs. It boggles the imagination that not that people at low levels trusted that something was going to be done right, but those who had transparency above them, who knew that the left hand was turning over weapons and the right hand was not able to track them, they need to go. It needs to be sooner, not later.
Alrighty, Congressman Issa, thank you so much, and keep us posted. And we can't thank you enough for what you're doing because, as you said, we got to get to the bottom of it. Lives are at stake, and lives have already been lost.